Hey everybody, welcome back to FFB from the 50. It's been from both sides of the field. It has been a 2-week hiatus, but I'm back here with Dave. I've got a few more drafts in the book. These are both money leagues. So I thought one of the best things that we can do is actually do some analysis of those leagues. The good news is you won't have to look at my ugly mug. We're going to have the draft pulled up here for you on the screen so that you can see the picks and follow along as we go. We're going to basically do an analysis, Dave. I'm going to talk about my picks, and then we're going to do a breakdown of everybody else's picks. Go through each round. I'm going to justify why I did what I did, why I took the player I took versus the other players that were available. And then we're going to analyze each round, going through saying which pick we thought was our favorite and which one we didn't necessarily care for. All right, ready to get started?
I guess. That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get rolling.
So also keep in mind, this first draft that we're about to analyze, this is a public league. The next one that we're going to analyze is a private league. We talked quite a bit about the difference between a home league and a private league.
Yep.
And versus a public league. So we'll see how that goes. Okay.
Public leagues are fun because you don't know who you're playing against, so you don't know their skill level. So,
exactly.
But honestly, if they're willing to put money up, then it's free money to take.
Yep.
So rock and roll.
Yep. I have no ideas going into this what everybody's tendencies are going to be. So it's one of those where it just really gives you kind of a true idea of what's happening.
And it looks like it's football time because Jordan just took a fall.
Is that what that was?
Yeah. We got a public money league. We're going in first round. You are called I Bombed. Which,
yep.
Yeah, is what it is.
It used to be A Bomb, and then it was I Bomb, kind of adjusted through the times. So I actually had the second overall pick, and I just want to talk a little bit about fantasy strategy here. So if you're looking through this, you see Jamar Chase went number 1. I took Bijan number 2. I'll get to why I took Bijan at number 2.
Well, let's back up there though. If you have your second round, you have the second pick in the first round of the fantasy draft. So it means you're picking second for the entire rounds. So you got to have a strategy going in it because your first pick is going to determine which way you're going to go with this draft. So if you're going to be leading off with a wide receiver, well, that tells me you're looking at either loading up with wide receivers or you're going to be alternating between wide receiver, running back on your way back. So that means for me, I've got to be kind of paying attention on which way I want to set my strategy. Now, knowing Dan, his strategy is load up running back, so I can see him picking a running back in that second pick, which I assume you probably did.
Yeah, I did. And, what you said makes a lot of sense because in another league, I had the first overall pick. I took Jamar Chase, and the reason I did that is I felt better. So this is Serpentine, so I know I felt better coming back at the end of the second.
Explain Serpentine.
Yeah, so if you have the first pick in the first round, that means you have the last pick in the second round.
Right.
So basically, if you're picking number 10, you end up with back-to-back picks here. The last pick of the first and the first pick of the second. That means that I'm drafting number 2, and then it's going to be a long way before it makes it back to me. And I've done enough mock drafts and actual real drafts that I feel better about the running backs that are available at the end of round 2 and the start of round 3 than I am the wide receivers. And we'll get to that here when we go because you're going to see my concern played out exactly the way that I thought it would. Having said that, there is only, in my opinion, once Jamar Chase is off the board at number 1, if that's where he goes, there's only 2 choices at number 2. And I'm going to explain why. I do tend to go running back heavy, but if I can get a stud wide receiver in the first round and I can load up, depending upon where I'm at in the draft on running backs later, that's what I'm going to do. To me, I'm looking at this, and Jamar Chase goes number 1, so I automatically think 2 different guys. I think Bijan Robinson and I think CeeDee Lamb. And I'm going to explain why real fast, and you can tell me if you think I'm crazy or if you think I'm nuts, or if you agree. I mean, it's possible you might agree with that decision. I'm kind of fading Saquon Barkley. I do already have a share of Saquon, but I'm going to limit the amount of shares I have to him.
But like the last time we talked about too, Saquon's been used a lot, and
exactly.
he has had injury history. He is on a great team though. But at the same time, he didn't have to take the workload that he did take, and he did take a lot of it. So my thing is, the running backs are, no matter how good a shape you're in, you get beat down.
Exactly. You can't have 400
You're not
touches.
a wide receiver getting tackled, maybe 1-on-1 or 2-on-1. You're a running back getting tackled by 1,500 pounds in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different ballgame. So in my opinion, I think Saquon's going to have a down year, but he's still worthy just depending on what your strategy is.
Yeah, of course. And so at number 2, for me, Saquon was not an option. The man had over 400 touches last year, and let's not forget they went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, which means they had the shortest offseason of any of the other teams for recovery. So at that number 2, again, for me, Saquon's not there. Over 400 touches, the shortest recovery time of anybody else. I typically here, again, I still would like to go wide receiver if I can. There was 2 choices.
But why didn't you pick, if you're saying that, why did you not pick CeeDee Lamb instead of Bijan Robinson?
So, because I also have to limit my exposure to these players, I play in enough leagues that I don't want the same guys in every single league. What I've found.
So, if you weren't in that many leagues and you were picking second,
probably would have gone with CD because, again, I know that I can get a couple decent running backs there at the flip. But at this point, I did want to try to zig a little bit in this draft too. I'll explain why also when we get there.
That's understandable because my thing is you're looking at CD and you're looking at Bijan Robinson. Both are worthy picks of that second pick. But you also look at the teams. Like you look at Dallas, they're hungry, but they got a lot of sideshow going on. So how is that going to distract from the offense? You don't know. Bijan Robinson, he's going to have a big year. I think they're going to have Michael, or who's that left-handed gunslinger?
The quarterback, Michael Penix?
Penix, there you go. I was going to say Pitts, but that's their tight end.
That's tight end, yeah.
But they're going to pick up, but he's going to have a lot more carries. He's going to have to be a lot more involved. So there's a lot of more touches for him in that. So I think you're good either way, just depending on what your strategy is for the whole round. If that makes sense.
It does. And I'm going to tell you why I went the way I went. So for me, the pick there was Bijan. I think overall in the first round, you want to get as many points as you can. And as high as I am on CeeDee Lamb, I do think George Pickens is going to carve out a role. So if I have to choose between a running back that's going to pretty much have the entire backfield to himself versus a wide receiver one who is a stud, don't get me wrong, but is going to have a former number one in George Pickens. Remember, he was number one for Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go that direction, but I'm steering clear of Saquon. Justin Jefferson, you can say, is quarterback proof because of what he did with Sam Darnold last year, but Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy are not the same players. A lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
One football.
It's a lot different and a lot of question marks. And with him sitting out already with a injury, possibly you don't really know for certain. Mm-hmm. It's a risk to take. But still, I mean, they're going to go in the first rounds. It's just depending on your risk factor as the draftee.
Yeah.
So
and so that brings to the next question because people are going to say, well, if you decided to go running back there, why did you choose Bijan over Jahmyr Gibbs? It goes back to what I just said a second ago, and I kind of set up this conversation, this little tidbit here. I just said that I wanted the running back that had the backfield all to himself. Gibbs doesn't have the backfield all to himself.
He's got another stud back there called David Montgomery.
Yep. So in this case, there was really only two options. For me, it was between Bijan and CD. I felt like Bijan was probably the better value there, but I don't think you could have gone wrong either way. And I had made the decision early in this draft that I was going to go running back heavy. There are wide receivers that I feel comfortable targeting late. We'll get there. We'll discuss that. So I went with Bijan at number 2 overall.
Nice. And so if we continue down in this draft, you're kind of falling into the typical rounds, especially when you get to the money rounds. They're picking value in the first round for points, basically to be your stud on your team. Mm-hmm. So what you're looking at here, so you have Jefferson going in number 4. You're looking at Gibbs, like we just talked about. He's going number 5. He's going to be a heavy touch guy, but also sharing the backfield with David Montgomery, who basically, if you look at last year, he was a touchdown man last year. Mm-hmm. So he got the ball at the goal line, which that's 6 points instead of yardage points. Yep. So, and then you look at, you have another gentleman here who picked a CeeDee Lamb, great pick at number 6, sitting out there. And then you have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's he's a stud running back, question mark, but you also got 2 in the backfield with him. You got Lamar Jackson and Henry, and you can try to control Lamar Jackson, but he's still going to run. The guy got legs, he's going to run. And so that's the way I look at that. And I think Nate Collins is going to have a breakout year. I think that's a great pick there for that one. And Christian McCaffrey, he scares me. He's a bit injury prone. I don't know your thoughts on McCaffrey, but I just think Purdy's going to have a bigger year, and I think McCaffrey's going to need to be really reliable. And that's a question mark. And then I don't like the last pick in the first round. I'm not big on the rookies, especially when you're out in the Raiderville. No offense, Raider fans. I'd love to see you guys be good, but that's a question mark, even as good as he is. A couple good pops. NFL hits a lot different than Boise State does.
Yeah, it does. So let's go through here because I run with a very simple philosophy that you cannot win your league in the first 3 rounds of the draft, but you can lose them.
You can lose them real quickly.
So for me, I tend to go for what I think are going to be solid players. I don't always necessarily try to smash a home run in the first round. If I did, I could have gone with like a Devin Achane. The problem with some of these guys is they're high ceiling guys, but they're low floor guys.
Yeah.
So going through the first round, and I just want to explain, real fast here why. Again, there was all these options out there. These guys went in the first round. Derrick Henry was a great value. I had him in several leagues last year, but I got him in the second round last year. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to pay a first round price for him. In a lot of those leagues, I'd either paired him up with Jamar Chase, who is my wide receiver 1, or I was able to grab Saquon at the end of round 1 and grab Derrick Henry in round 2 and went running back again. For me, he's just not a value there. Nico, I think Nico is going to be great when he's healthy. He's a top 5 wide receiver, but he has missed games every single year. You know, the Houston went out, the Texans went out, and they drafted two wide receivers this year, and they brought in Christian Kirk, who may not be an exciting player. He may not be,
but he's been in the league a while,
and he's a high volume, high touch guy.
And he's been in the league a while though, so he's bringing in to help out some of these young guys. You're seeing a lot more of that now.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of part of their contract, whether they want to say it or not.
So I just couldn't justify taking Nico any earlier. Christian McCaffrey is too much of a risk for me in the first round, and same with Ashton Genty.
Yeah, so that bottom after CeeDee Lamb is really questionable in my eyes.
I think it starts before then. Saquon has major question marks. Jefferson has question marks due to the quarterback play.
The only issue, though, you're going to have people betting on Saquon having the same type of production he had the year before, which he very well could. But I am very well predicting statistically and analytically that it's not going to happen.
And he could. So, I mean, let's look back to where he was drafted last year, though. Last year, again, end of the first part of the second. A lot different than being drafted in the top 3 overall.
Yes.
We know the talent's there. Obviously, the talent's there. But
now, and then that brings us then to round it out to come to back around 2. So if we're snaking back around, the pick 10 now gets
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that was the right decision for him to make. I mean, if you're going to go with a rookie, unproven running back in round 1,
you better have another stud to follow him up.
Especially at running back, you have to go with another running back. It's not even a choice. You have to go with another running back. And because you're taking so much risk with Genty, I don't think you can take a risk with Ashane. I mean, I can make an argument that Ashane could be the number 1 overall running back this year. I could also make the case that he won't even be in the top 25. Right. I mean, you look at his points last year. His points came, a lot of it, in PPR leagues. This is not a PPR league. This is half-point PPR. Dave and I have talked about this in the past. Know your league settings. This is only half-point PPR.
Because here's the other idea now, too. If you're looking at this, you're looking at quarterback Love. He basically is now having thumb surgery. So basically, who's going to get the ball more? You're looking at Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
So basically getting the handoff.
And a highly questionable receiving core.
Yes, very questionable.
And a cruddy weather.
cruddy weather stadium.
Yeah.
Except, till about October. But... So
yeah,
so you have a lot of question marks going on there.
So I feel with the Genty pick, the team that drafted 10th with the last pick in the first had to go with the running back, and honestly, he was the best choice for me. It would have been either him or Jonathan Taylor.
I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of curious to see how that team ended up.
Yeah, and we're going to do a second video afterwards where we're going to go through each team and we're going to grade them by position, bench strength, and whether or not we think they're a top tier, bottom tier, middle tier team.
All right, so then moving on, the next one we have here, this
is risky.
Aiken, yeah.
This is
I'm
risky.
not a fan of that at all. That to me, that's a 4th round pick, 5th round pick if he's there. Miami, I don't have any faith in you this year.
So if you're going to take McCaffrey, just like with Ashton Genty, if you're going to take McCaffrey in the first round, I do feel like you have to take a running back in the second round. They went with Devin Ashane. They went with the high ceiling, unfortunately, the low floor. I probably would have gone with Jonathan Taylor. Again, not as exciting as Ashane. I understand that. The ceiling is non-comparable.
But in a money league, you're looking for consistency each week to be putting up points.
Exactly.
So you're not looking for question marks, especially in your first 3 rounds. You're looking for solid production, solid consistency in those first 3 rounds. And, I mean, barring injury, they should be consistent. And so, yeah, that's a very sketchy pick at that one. I mean, I would have probably even switched back with McCaffrey gone with a wide receiver, knowing that it'd be a little bit less coming down the line.
Yeah, and we'll look later, too, because I also feel like if you're taking a person like Christian McCaffrey, you have to get Isaac Grendo at some point. And I don't like the handcuff. And that's why I won't have any shares of Christian McCaffrey, because I hate handcuffing. I hate wasting 2 roster spots. They're so valuable.
Yeah, especially if you're on a team. So, and once we go over a few of mine, you'll notice, I try to stick away from getting the same players on 2 teams, just simply because, you kind of hamstring yourself. So, with that, and on top of both of the best bye weeks, too, you're kind of stuck.
All right, Dave, let's go to the team that was drafting number 8 overall. They took Nico Collins in the first round. They took Malik Neighbors in the third.
So you can see their strategy is going wide receiver. So kind of loading up on touches there.
Yep. I don't have anything against Malik Neighbors. I probably won't have any shares of him. He was a rookie. How can we say that a rookie is quarterback proof when we've had 1 year? That's the biggest sample size we've had.
And it was sketchy.
Well, that whole offense. He was the only offense last year, but we'll see. I mean,
I don't know. That's an iffy. There's a lot of iffy picks here in this coming back around here.
But I do like the idea. If you're going to go with Nico and you're not sold at running back, again, I would have probably taken Jonathan Taylor at this point. But if you're not sold and you want to go with wide receiver, there's no doubt that the 2 wide receivers that this person has have very high upside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's always high upside. So it just depends on your risk. Like I said, you could very well end up being at the bottom of your league with some of these.
Yeah, and this is the kind of flashy play that I don't typically do. I don't want to say that I'm a boring drafter because I get very exciting later when I'm trying to make money. But
no, there's a problem is like when you're a boring drafter, you're trying to draft for consistency and you're going for the win. If you're trying to get flashy and go for the big name that pops up when you're talking about it, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to lose it.
Yeah, and these rounds are not where you do not win your draft in the first 3 rounds. That's when you lose them. But you know when you can is if you hit on those later round picks. Yeah. And I'm an exciting drafter later.
And a lot of these guys are picking up later round picks. So if you would literally be looking at your draft, you could load it up in that first 4 rounds is what it's looking like. So from that. So, I mean, and moving on, like here's another smart pick for number 4, I mean, in that round. So it would be what is that?
It would have been the 7th overall pick. They took Derrick Henry in the first, followed it up with Amon-Ra St. Brown in the second. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick, especially coming from the 7th pick. I mean, Henry might have been a stretch, but that it's still a solid pick. And Amon St. Brown, he's gonna be action, man. He's gonna have touches from golf. I mean, that's just the way it's gonna be.
He is the trusted receiver there, and there's balance there. Running back, wide receiver. Now you've given yourself options moving forward.
And you're strong, and you have a strong running back and a strong wide receiver. So not really question marks there.
Yep. So the guy that took CeeDee Lamb at number 6 overall comes back with Brian Thomas Jr. So again, wide receiver, and I really like what they've done here, and let me explain why, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, and also make sure you go down to the comment section and letting us know your feelings on this too. CeeDee Lamb is probably outside of Jamar Chase the safest first round pick,
right?
Because wide receivers don't get hurt as easily as running backs. CeeDee Lamb has high upside and high floor. And if you're going to go wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. has an incredibly high upside.
Yes.
Look what he did last year as a rookie. It's possible he'll do even better now.
And you have a different regime there. They're going to be moving it through. So they got a good running back. Mm-hmm. They're a team to look out for. So it's just a matter of if old Trevor can
figure it out. This is a make or break year for him.
Yeah, it is. This is whether you're going to continue in the NFL or you're going to be a permanent backup somewhere.
Nope. All right, the team that drafted number 5th in the first round took Jahmyr Gibbs. They followed up here with Drake London in the second round. I love me some Drake London this year.
That's a great pick. Great pick. He's going to have a big year to help out Michael Penix. So.
Yep. And again, you've got balance. You go Gibbs in the first as a running back. You take London wide receiver in the second round. You started running back.
I will say, if you're looking at something that might produce some low points, it might be this team. So just out of say with the split backs in Detroit. And on top of Drake London, there's a lot of firepower in Atlanta. So depending on who becomes Penix's favorite, that could be a low point scoring team.
Yep, I like what they did with the balance. We are talking about 2 players with extremely high ceilings. I don't care so much about Gibbs' floor because we've seen him still produce 20 points, 15 to 20 points a week.
Right.
With Montgomery on there. Drake London took a step, and he really started looking good last year when Penix was in there. Let's hope he takes the next step. Otherwise, this is a swing and miss. This could be a problem. But I like what they did. Mm-hmm. All right. With the next pick, in the first round, this team took Justin Jefferson. They followed up with Jonathan Taylor. So, again, this is not an exciting team. This is just a solid team.
Solid consistency. And Taylor's a beast. I mean, he's gonna get his touches. He's gonna get his yards.
I have to admit, with my pick coming up in 2 spots there, man, I was really disappointed to see Taylor go because I knew.
Oh, I could tell by your pick.
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to go running back again right here because I wasn't sold on the receivers that were coming up, and I'll tell you why here in just a moment. But the team that picked number 3 took Saquon in the first round. They followed up with Puka Nacua in the second round. I am still scratching my head why Puka Nacua is going in the first and second round. Guy is great, but
he's not. He's 4th, 5th round material.
Well, I mean, I'd be fine taking him in the third round. I just can't justify taking him in the first or second.
There's enough more higher upside out there. But anyways, go ahead.
So, I mean, that one right there, this is a team that scares me because Saquon, we do expect a decline this year. Puka Nakua, Matthew Stafford had to get a shot just to be able to make it out on the field to practice. Mm-hmm. He had to be numbed down a little bit just to even crawl out of bed in the morning.
Oh yeah,
that worries
me. And don't
me.
worry, I think Garoppolo will be just fine. So I mean, as a backup, because Baker Mayfield came out of nowhere for him. Mm-hmm. So I remember that 97-yard drive in 30 seconds.
But you got to think, too, that Devontae Adams probably has more in his tank at this point than Cooper Kupp showed last year. So,
right.
And again, one ball. Kyron Williams is going to get his touches out of the backfield. That's going to happen. Little concerned about that one. Not a fan.
Yeah. But then you come up to your pick here.
Yep, and I'm actually more excited about this pick than some people.
A lot of people are liking Chris Brown. I'm just not I'm not sold on Cincinnati in general. So
Chris Brown? Chris Brown?
Oh, Chase Brown. I'm sorry.
You threw me off there. I thought, who did I take?
No, Chase Brown. Sorry.
So I'll tell you why I'm excited about Chase Brown. The man doesn't even average 4 yards per carry. So a lot of people think, well, why would you choose to draft him?
Well, that on top of the fact that it's Cincinnati. No offense, Bengals fans, and you know who I'm talking about.
No, so it's because it is Cincinnati that I'm excited.
You really?
Okay, let me
dive in. Fill me in because I am not excited.
Let's dive into this. Okay, in my opinion, it is possible that Cincinnati will have one of the top 5 worst defenses in the NFL this year.
So you're playing it from the worst defense standpoint of they have to sling this thing around.
Keep in mind, their offense scored over 30 points 5 different times last year, and the team lost.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are never going to be able to. That offense can never take their foot off the pedal. And while
why are they not signing their defensive players?
That's a great question.
Is he waiting for Dallas guy get his,
Micah Parsons
get his money and then sign his money?
I think that's suggestive. But you also have to keep in mind too, as much as Trey Hendrickson wants his money, he's on the backside of 30. He's over age of 30. So, if you're a GM, you do have to be a little smart, and they probably want to sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, and he's probably wanting 4 or 5 years.
And if you're new to all this, in football terminology, 30 is about 50.
It really is. I almost actually said 50 when I said that. He's on the backside.
About 50,
he's not on the backside of 50, but 30 is 50. 30 is the new 50, Dave.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so having said that, let's look at this, and let's really dive into the weeds here. You have an offense that's never going to be able to take their foot off the pedal. Chase Brown did not average 4 yards per carry last year, but that's because when he did run the ball, it was very obvious situations, and they were going into the end zone. Mm-hmm. If it's a 1 yard carry into the end zone, you don't get credit for 10 yards. It really does hurt your average. Or, short yardage situation. Go back and look at the targets. I understand this is only half-point PPR, which is why he didn't go sooner than this. But go out and look at his targets, look at his catches. He's going to make up 40 yards worth of yardage on the ground just through catches alone, even in a half-a-point PPR. He averages 7 to 8 catches per game. There were several games last year he hit double-digit targets on an offense that's not going to be able to take their foot off the gas. Plus, you got Higgins and Chase out there. The flats are always open, and they find creative ways of getting him the ball.
I think you're smoking crack on this guy. So okay. I think you really are. On the whole Cincinnati team, I think Cincinnati is a giant joke.
So, oh, boy. I'm going to definitely disagree with you on that one. They are a team that I am targeting.
I have no faith in Burrow, so I really don't. I think he's a great player and all, but I think their team is just not ran well. Okay. So, trust it. Take it from a diehard Bears fan. You can see it.
But there's another thing I want to talk about right here, too, because why didn't I go wide receiver here? Mm-hmm. So that we need to address that, too. I did get the running back right there that I was targeting. But why didn't I go wide receiver? Well, let's take a look at the wide receivers that were available after this. Okay? Mm-hmm. So in order, we'll do 3 wide receivers because in round 3, only 3 wide receivers went. A.J. Brown, Ladd McConkey, and T. Higgins. Let's talk real quick why I didn't go wide receiver here. A.J. Brown is on a low passing volume offense. Ladd McConkey is on a low passing volume offense. T. Higgins is the number 2 wide receiver on his own team.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a wide receiver there. I said before, I am comfortable taking. And honestly,
in this draft, the way it's falling fallen together, you're pretty much correct in taking your running back at that point. Yeah, the running backs at that point are more valuable than the wide receivers at this point, and
by far.
And so bringing us back up around to the third round, and even like with the bottom of the second round, you had Bucky Irving going from Tampa Bay, which I'm not a huge fan of that one, but
I like Bucky Irving.
I like him. I just don't think he's going to get his touches like he should. But,
well, so I mean, you look at Bucky, and he had one tremendous second half last year.
That's what there's not a lot out there, and that's a second round. I don't know, man. I need to get in some more money leagues if this is how they're drafted.
So I like Bucky. I like Bucky in the third or fourth round. I don't like Bucky in the second round. The reality is I had the second pick in the third round. I might have been tempted to take Bucky if he was there and go 3 running backs in a row.
Well, you technically did.
I technically, yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah. So, but let's talk about Bucky real quick. I do like Bucky. He's pass Rashad White as the RB number 1. But that's still a pass-first offense. You've got 4 stud wide receivers. You got Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin, who I know is going to miss time, but he'll be back. You got McMillan, and then they got Mbuka that they just drafted. Don't forget Kate Otten is there.
Jeez.
I mean, it's a loaded gun, and
but it's a pass-heavy offense, and it's a pass-heavy league. So,
and the thing is I will probably be fine drafting Bucky Irving in the second round next year if he has a repeat performance of the second half last year. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to use a second-round pick on a guy that's only done it for half a season.
No. Like I said, you can still lose your draft real quick.
Exactly.
The first 3 rounds.
Too risky for this guy.
Yes.
All right. So let's go ahead and look into the third round here. So now we're serpentine. So now I'm back to having the second pick.
He's back to having the second pick. So you basically come back around and have a back-to-back pick, basically. So and like this round is really kind of shocking to me, but
this round is when things get interesting.
Yeah. So basically, you're starting off with the first AJ Brown, like we just discussed, extremely. I mean, low targets, low
target,
low output,
low passing offense. But the redeeming quality that this person has right here is they took Jamar Chase in the first round. So AJ Brown acts as a wide receiver too. But I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest. I want you to go down in the comment section, and I want you to be honest. They went wide receiver in round 1. They went running back in round 2. They're balanced. Round three again. You can't win your leagues in the first 3, but you sure as heck can lose them. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you a question. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. At the end of the 3 scenarios, I want Dave to analyze this and tell me what he thinks. I want you to go down to the comment section and tell me what you think. I want you to tell me, Dave, what you think would be the best option out of these 3. Option A is what they did. Jamar Chase in the first, Bucky Irving in the second, AJ Brown in the third. That's option 1. Option 2, because they are balanced and went with a wide receiver in round 1 and a running back in round 2, they could have gone Jamar Chase, Bucky Irving, and let's say their choice of whichever quarterback they wanted, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I want to remind you that this league, passing touchdowns are only worth 4. Mm-hmm. These quarterbacks that get the rushing yards, they are at a premium. I don't typically draft quarterbacks early because I can get a quarterback like Dak Prescott late that's going to throw 2.5 to 3 touchdowns per game.
But if the rushing is the premium in this league, check your settings.
Exactly, know your settings.
You would go if your balance good as enough. This is you would go Lamar Jackson in this league because honestly, if you're in a league and you start at the top and I guarantee he started the trend of the quarterbacks going in this round. I
did start. And you'll see
that's
that.
Very easy because I would have looked at this too, depending on the settings. And if I had this round, I would have probably, instead of A.J. Brown, I would have gone with Brock Bowers.
And that was going to be my third option.
That's who I would have gone
so
with.
Option
then I would have
1,
had the best tight end, the best wide receiver, and I'd have an okay running back, which I'm okay with that because my tight end and my wide receiver should make up for his lack of points.
You could have gone good. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. You could have gone great, good, great.
Yeah.
And instead you went with great, good, good, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, or you would have I would have gone maybe Lamar Jackson, just kind of depending on how the settings were. But I really am a big fan of the Brock Bauer. So
I honestly think the choice of going A.J. Brown here was the wrong decision.
Very.
If I was them and I had Jamar Chase in the first, I had Bucky Irving in the second, I would have leaned towards either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, or whichever quarterback you have ranked higher on your personal rankings, or Brock Bowers.
But check your settings. What gives you the best point option?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is you can say with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. It really doesn't matter with those two because they both get their rushing yards, their rushing touchdowns. I just feel like that was a mistake going wide receiver
but
there.
You're talking Josh Allen too. I think they're really trying to not have him run like he is. I mean,
I agree.
They don't want him taking the hits. So,
I agree.
and I think they're going to slow him down. He's a big dude.
But here's the thing, Dave. Even if you're thinking that way, which I agree with you could have gone Jaden Daniels. It's whatever quarterback you prefer at that
you
that
could really
point.
go Caleb Williams. To be
You
honest,
could,
with
whatever you wanted to.
felt the need to.
But to go the way they went, I just don't understand. So they went A.J. Brown, and then I got to say...
you win Lamar Jackson, so there's not much to say there. That's a great pick for round 3.
A.J. Brown was never... I was never going to draft A.J. Brown or Ladd McConkey.
No, if I would have saw that being picked in front of me, I would have been like, I would have kind of been like stuck for a moment and trying to scramble thinking... That was not what I had pictured.
So for me, the wide receivers in the second round that I would have been interested in would have been Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., or Drake London. None of those guys made it to me, which is why I went what I went. And none of those guys in the third round that went. AJ, again, there's only 3, and you're seeing this.
You could have picked up Brock Bowers there if you
and
wanted.
I could have, and I would have been fine either way.
You were fine, but the way the scoring is in this league, I would have gone with you and picked up Lamar Jackson.
Because again, it's only half point. So Brock Bowers makes his money with 100 receptions,
or even a Jaden Daniels. I might have thrown.
Yeah, either one. Allen, I'm fading this year. We at this point when this draft took place, James Cook didn't have his contract, but we knew it was coming. They'd already said it's going to happen. It's just we've got a wrinkle out. So yeah. So I went with Lamar Jackson, and that did start. There was 3 quarterbacks went in this round. The very next pick, fast break, they went ahead and took Josh Allen. So the team that took Saquon Barkley in the first round came back and got Puka Nacua in the second round. I was not a huge fan of either one of those picks. But again, with what was available out there, I do feel like Josh Allen was probably the right pick.
I don't think so. Because, I mean, if you're looking at just strictly this third round, I mean, I think Jaden Daniels would have been a better pick for the league setting.
Well, okay, either way, quarterback was the right move.
Well, right, for this team, yes.
My point is they're going high risk, high reward with both Saquon and Puka. You've got to have something solid, and I don't like any of the wide receivers. I'm sorry, not something solid. You have to have a home run hit right there to make up for any deficiency that you might experience at one of those two.
Josh Allen also, I mean, he has those games where they're not the highest point totals.
Yeah, and then he goes off for 50. And that goes back to the consistency. You're going to get some high scores with this fella, but you're also going to have some weeks that it just doesn't work out.
I wouldn't, I'm really against drafting a quarterback unless in this league, like a Lamar Jackson would have been up there, and I honestly would have stayed away from Jaden Daniels. It's year 2 for him, which makes me kind of nervous. People have got a lot of film on him now. They know a little bit more about his tendencies. So, I mean, you're going to possibly slow down a little bit, unless he's just too fast.
Yep.
But then you never know.
Yep, so the next guy goes Kyron Williams. So just to remind you, this team, Justin Jefferson in the first, they went with Jonathan Taylor, my favorite pick of the second round.
I like it.
And then went with Kyron Williams. So with the top 2 quarterbacks off the board, again, unless you pick...
I think it's a good pick besides taking Brock Bowers, but, I mean... I'm big on Brock Bowers.
I know you are, but if you're not sold on taking Bowers early, a tight end or a quarterback early, which is a strategy, there's nothing wrong with taking Kyron Williams as your running back too. That's solid.
That's a solid team.
All right, and then the next team took Ladd McConkey. So just to remind you of their team, they took Jahmyr Gibbs in the first, Drake London in the second, Ladd McConkey in the third. I'm okay with Ladd as my wide receiver number 2. I did not want him as my wide receiver number 1.
Number 2 is good. I don't think I would have. I don't know. I don't think I would have taken him. Harbaugh is a very run-heavy guy, but he also lost his offensive guard, right? Tackle?
Yeah, their tackle is out.
Yeah, so for the year, which that makes the run a little bit more tricky. So it might be actually pretty much a nice pick there, depending on how Herbert can swing it.
We'll see. So Ladd, I don't have any problems with Ladd. I like Ladd. I like the upside. To me, Ladd McConkey is going about a round or 2 before I'd be willing to take him.
Yeah,
there's no value. He's being drafted at his ceiling, and I'm a little concerned. I don't like to draft players at their ceiling.
Oh yeah, and there's still a lot of good value out there.
Yep, there were wide receivers that I liked later in the draft more. All right, pick number 6. This is your pick right here. So, just to remind you, this team in the first round went with CeeDee Lamb, very solid pick in the first. Followed up with Brian Thomas Jr., another very solid pick in the second, and follows it up with Brock Bowers. So you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Brian Thomas, and you got Brock Bowers. No running backs through the first 3 rounds. I'm not sure that there was any running backs I would have taken there either.
Man, you could have put James Cook, but I mean that's maybe. But at the same time, Brock Bowers is high value. So, and I think he's worthy of a 3rd round pick. So, I think it's a good pick. I like his team so far. It's going to depend on how he fills those running back slots come up here in the next 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
So it's going to depend on how that team shapes out.
And I will warn you. So this goes back to what we were talking about, because this is a great way to segue just a little bit into what I was trying to talk about earlier. There are wide receivers that I'm more comfortable with taking a little bit later in the draft than there are wide receivers. I feel like there's a dead zone at wide receiver coming up, and we're about to see it. So, so we'll see. I don't hate the pick because, they went wide receiver.
From a consistency standpoint, their team's pretty consistent.
Yep.
So
we'll see. The problem with some of these running backs, too, that I feel like should be middle-round picks, though, is they are swing or misses. A lot of them are rookies. You don't know what you're going to get. All right, team number 7 took James Cook. Keep in mind this was prior to James Cook signing. We knew it was going to happen. Anybody that's been watching these holdouts for the last several years, outside of Le'Veon Bell.
When they hold in, basically a contract's getting done. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell is the only one that we've seen actually hold out, and we saw how that worked out. People have learned their mistakes. So this team went with Derrick Henry in the first round, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the second round, and comes back and grabs James Cook here in the third.
It's a pretty solid team. I don't know with what was out there. I think that's about the best pick you can probably go with, I would think. I mean, considering where it's at. So
Yep. Now let's go to maybe my least favorite pick in this round. So team number 8.
Is he the third string, or is he second?
He's second.
Oh, is he?
When Nico, here's what makes it even worse, though. So he went T. Higgins. I'm just going to give away the way you can see it on your screen anyway, but T. Higgins. Mm-hmm. So first round, Nico Collins. Second round, Malik Neighbors. Third round, wide receiver. So wide receiver, and I just don't know that T. Higgins in the third round as your third wide receiver is more valuable than grabbing a Trey McBride, a Jaden Daniels, or grabbing a running back. Mm-hmm. I don't see it, Dave. This is my least favorite pick of this.
That's where I think you lose his draft, basically.
So, I mean, I understand the zero RB strategy. I get it. I don't ever employ it myself. People that say, hey, I'm going to fill up on wide receivers, me versus you, and our personal philosophies, at least I get it. This is terrible execution.
No, it's bad.
So it's my least favorite pick. All right, let's move on to pick number 9, Trey McBride.
Not a fan on that one either.
So they start with, we talked about a team that was high risk, high reward. So they start with Christian McCaffrey, then they go Devin Achane, and then they go Trey McBride. Trey McBride is a fine wide receiver in PPR leagues. This is not a PPR league. He only averages like 1.5 to 2 touchdowns per year. He's going to get you 100 receptions, but guess what? It's only half-point PPR.
Know your settings.
But with Brock Bowers, at least you got the touchdown upside to go with the catches. This guy doesn't have that.
No.
He's going to put up wide receiver 1 receiving numbers, but he's not going to put up wide receiver 1 touchdown numbers. No. That's a problem.
Yes, very. And then the last pick in that round, Jaden Daniels, that's a solid pick. So
yeah, and he went Ashton Genty, but I kind of it's still, to me, it's a little bit more high risk than I would do. He took Ashton Genty in round 1, Josh Jacobs, which we discussed. Right. If you're taking Genty, you've got to take JJ. Right.
So basically, he's got a lot of running backs, but at the same point, there are a lot of touchdown producers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of upside there, except for Genty, because we don't exactly know what he's going to produce yet.
So, I mean, solid pick, but here's where I feel like they went off the rails too, because remember, we're coming back in the wraparound. They take Omarion Hampton in the 4th. So now they've gone Ashton.
They took what?
Omarion Hampton, rookie running back for the Chargers. They've taken Genty in the 1st, Jacobs in the 2nd, Jalen Daniels in the 3rd, and now they took Omarion Hampton in the 4th.
I'm going to call this now. I think Mr. Amsler might run away with this league.
So, well, here's the crazy thing. His wide receiver 1 that he finally took in the 5th round was Xavier Worthy, followed by Rashee Rice. So his wide receiver number 1 is Xavier Worthy. Wide receiver number 2 is Rashee Rice. They're wide receivers on the same team.
Oh, my.
So I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there. I just don't understand it.
No, it's derailing really fast here.
So this is my personal philosophy. I'm going to go through this real fast. I always said that you cannot win your leagues in the first 3 rounds, but you sure can lose them. You make your money in the late rounds, but in the middle rounds is where you have to fill your roster with startable players. They don't have to be home runs. They don't have to have the highest ceilings, but they also can't have 0 floors either. These are still valuable picks. You're not swinging for the fences at this point. You're still trying to round out your roster so you can swing for the fences later. We're just not there yet. So I don't understand taking 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, taking Jaden Daniels in the 3rd, following it up with Omarion Hampton in the 4th.
It just doesn't make sense. Like it really doesn't. Like, and I'm high on Omarion Hampton. I really am. So I think he's going to be great.
Upside's there.
Yeah, it's up there, but not for round 4 with that team. With this team that he is setting up, he is on a collision course for just bottom barrel. Like, he's going to get the Sacco Award is basically what he's going to end up getting. That's the way I'm looking at it. But, hey, I could be wrong, though.
We both could be, but I don't understand. So now let's go on to this next team. So I want to remind you This next team, they went with Christian McCaffrey in the first. They went with Devin Shane in the second. Trey McBride in the third. Finally grabbed their first wide receiver off the board in round 4, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I know everybody is high in this guy. I'm not buying it. So here's why. I know DK Metcalf is gone. Sam Darnold's his quarterback. Sam Darnold was a good quarterback last year with a loaded receiving room. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Eventually Hawkinson came back.
This is going to turn into it's going to fall apart for Seattle real quick. I have no faith in them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And I would just stay away from this. Like, this looks like a wasted pick especially in round 4. That's a bad pick.
So if you're going to wait until here to take a wide receiver, which obviously they did,
Marvin Harrison Jr.
They kind of gave themselves no choice. They have to go wide receiver, just like me.
Well, that's what I said. But I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. has a lot better upside than what you have.
I would say there's several with more upside here. But
I'm just saying one that pops in my head right now is Marvin Harrison Jr. But
yeah, and you can see because the board is up here. I would have taken Mike Evans, which I did. I was so happy when Evans came with. This isn't a dynasty league.
No,
I don't need Mike Evans to be good the next 3 years.
No.
I need him to be good this year.
Because even if you were a bad picker, you could have took Tyreek Hill too, which somebody did. Which that he has a lot of downside this year. Like,
huge. He's not even practicing.
Yeah, I know, a lot of downside.
I would have rather had Garrett Wilson because we know that Justin Fields can make one relevant wide receiver. He did it with DJ Moore at the Bears, but don't forget him and Garrett Wilson were buddy at Ohio State.
Yeah, so
I would have gone with him. And you can make the case for Marvin Harrison. I'm not sold on him, but I can see why people are.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue against him.
My thing is I think Marvin Harrison will be there next year with a better quarterback because I don't think Kyle Murray will be around. So,
I could see that, yeah. So
unless
again,
he produces a playoff run this year, but I highly doubt it.
If you believe that Sam Darnold can relive the magic that he had last year with a different head coach that's not as offensively minded as what he had,
a worse offensive line.
A worse offensive line, less weapons around him.
Less weapons in the I was going to say the outfield. I got baseball in my mind. Less weapons less weapons around him, plus the less weapons behind him.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see New York Giants Sammy Darnold.
Or even worse, Carolina, who's seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Ghosts out there. That's not good. That's not good.
I know a lot of people are high on Jackson Smith-Njigba, but I am not one of them. All right, next team, they took George Kittle. So I want to remind you what they had. They started with Nico Collins. They went with Malik Neighbors. Then they went with T. Higgins. And now they're going with George Kittle. Kittle.
It's a solid pick. I mean, for round 4, I'm okay with it. But for his team, he's in trouble.
This is the first pick that this person's made that I can say, I can see it. Because, Kittle, there is a tight end premium. He's going to have. He's basically the number one.
And you lucked out, honestly, because Trey McBride went prior. So
yeah.
Because honestly, I mean, I would have took Kittle over Trey McBride.
No, I don't hate this team. I just honestly, if he had taken George Kittle in the 3rd round over T. Higgins, I probably would have liked it better. Then he would have been free to pick somebody else here. But that T. Higgins pick. But now keep in mind, we've gone 4 rounds, and this dude this person, I don't know if it's a dude or not because I don't know these players.
Receiver. No running backs.
So, and that's the exact opposite philosophy of mine. All right, this next pick, Tyreek Hill.
Do we even have to talk about this?
No, I mean, that's just, to me, is a wasted pick at this point. But Derrick Henry, but here's why they can't afford it, though. I will say this. Here's why this person can.
But
I wouldn't have, but they can because they have enough equity for the first 3 rounds.
They just had a great team set up there. I mean, isn't it? It's Derrick Henry,
Amon-Ra St. Brown, James Cook.
Yeah. So
it's just not the wide receiver. If you want to go wide receiver here, that's fine. It's just not
George Pickens would have been a great pick right there.
Yeah, any of these other wide receivers. Honestly, I would have taken Breece Hall.
DJ Moore.
Yeah. I mean, or again, Garrett Wilson, Turner McLaren, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans. These guys all went afterwards. Yeah. Cortland Sutton.
Mike Evans is going to get touches. The guy has had 1,000 yards every year.
Yeah, I just... You can tell that this was a pick that was strictly made based upon upside. Tyreek Hill is his wide receiver, too. If it works out, this team is going to be darn near unbeatable.
Well, right.
But the problem is I'm not sure it will.
I don't think Miami's going to be there.
Yeah, so
I think Tua's done this year. I think Hill's gone. I think it's a whole revamp down there.
I'm just not sold on it. All right, so this next team took Breece Hall. So now they got CeeDee Lamb. They've got Brian Thomas Jr. They've got Brock Bowers. And now they finally pick up Breece Hall. And I will tell you that I am sold on Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is being undervalued.
You could pick him up in the 4th and 5th round. That is quite high value. Like I'm with you. I like Breece Hall. I think he's going to get a lot of touches, especially with Fields in the backfield. They're going to run a lot off each other, like a Saquon and Hurts.
A bunch of RPOs.
Yeah, a bunch of Saquon and Hurts does. So
here's an interesting stat: Justin Fields running backs while he's on the field versus when he has not been on the field. When he's not on the field, they've been averaging 4.7 yards per carry with Justin Fields on there. They average over 5.2. That's the difference that a running quarterback can make. I love that pick. This team is already a team that has caught my attention. I love what they've done.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy when the Jets are actually good, and you heard it here.
Yeah. Well, no, so speaking of the Jets being good, very next pick,
Yep,
Garrett Wilson.
Wilson.
So back-to-back Jets here in the
Solid
fourth round.
receiver if you get a quarterback that can get it to him.
I think that's great value because remember last year, Garrett Wilson was going into the first to the second.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's remind you of this team, though. So this is a team that went with Jahmyr Gibbs in the first, and we talked about this team taking some risk. Jahmyr Gibbs in the first, Drake London in the second, Ladd McConkey in the third. Now they follow it up with Garrett Wilson. I can't say I hate it.
It's not a bad team. Now, what the one prior to that though? What they had? Who they have on there? They had C.D. Lamb, right?
No. This is the one that went Jahmyr Gibbs in the first.
Well, right. Who was prior to that? C.D. Lamb. No, who was the C.D. Lamb team?
Jefferson. That was the one prior to the one that we just talked about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, but another team that is drafting with discipline, another team that understands the difference between upside and floor and the proper value of when to take players, I really like that. All right, so then this next player started with Justin Jefferson, then they went with Jonathan Taylor, and then they went with Kyron Williams, and now they followed up with Terry McLaurin, who will get his contract. Don't be mistaken, he will get his contract. I've seen teams say that, or players say that if Terry McLaurin already had his contract, he'd be taken in the third round. I don't buy it. I think fourth round is roughly where his ceiling is.
There's just too much. There's too many upsides in that first 3 rounds for you to take a Terry McLaurin. There's just so much better opportunity, I guess, is the way to look at it. So in that aspect.
So I have to admit, at this point, I'm sweating a little bit because my pick's coming up, and I know I really want to go wide receiver here because I started with running back, quarterback.
You did well. That was a very good pick that came out.
Yeah. So I'm at this point, I'm sweating it because these wide receivers are going, and I'm targeting Mike Evans. I want shares of Mike Evans, not in Dynasty, but in redraft.
And but before you had Marvin Harrison Jr. right before you.
When Marvin Harrison Jr. went, I celebrated because I'm like, I'm getting my guy. So Marvin Harrison Jr. goes one pick before me at number 8. And I thought that was actually an appropriate pick. And then I'm able to get Mike Evans at number 9, which I love. He's going to be my wide receiver 1. Again, this is not Dynasty. This is redraft. I think he's got one more good year with him. And then to round out that fourth round, Kenneth Walker, the third goes. So Dave, out of all of these,
that's a stretch, but that's 2 Seattle offensive players in that fourth round.
Well, and I'm not sold on Kenneth Walker anyway.
I liked him out of Michigan State, but he got hurt last year again, taking that NFL punishment. So I mean, it's one of those things. I was high on him last year, so not that much this year.
But this is also why, and we're going to get into this run of running backs that I'm just not super high on, and we're going to break this.
But they're trying to fill their roster spots now. So.
They are, and we're going to end this video with this. We're going to come back for part 2 where we go through rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8. But you'll be able to see in the next rounds why I like to go running back early, because at this point you're either filling in with guys like Kenneth Walker, who went with the last pick of the 4th, or James Conner, who is solid, but at some point is going to give up work to Trey Benson.
And the other sneak part here is you haven't really seen any Broncos go either. There's a lot of good players on that Broncos team.
And it's about to change in the next round because I am really high on Cortland Sutton.
There's a lot of sleepers. The problem is a lot of people don't look at the sleepers. A lot of people just look at the high profile, high point play from the prior year. You got to strategize if you want to play these money leagues.
So
you've got to really look into that.
And if you can look, and we'll go into this in the future, if you can look at these players that performed well last year, and that was their floor, and you feel like they can only go up from there, those are the guys that I target at this point to fill out my roster. So that'll end this video. We'll come back here, part 2, where we break down rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8. And come back and join us. Don't forget to go down to the comment section. Let us know what you think. What were your favorite and least favorite picks of all these rounds? Let us know. All right, we'll be back with the next part here in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds great.